Hello and welcome to You Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel about all the craftiness that I get up to. I knit, I sew, I crochet, I'm learning to spin, I'm learning to weave, and I dabble in all sorts of other crafty bits and pieces. Behind me you can see one of my co-hosts, Leo, who's come to visit for today's episode. We'll see how long he stays around for. Today I've got some finished objects to show you, a very exciting announcement to make, and a few one work in progress. So let's get to it. So welcome back to any returning viewers, and to any new viewers, especially big welcome to you. If you like what you see here, by all means hit the like and subscribe down below, ding that bell for notifications and so on. There'll be videos every week or two more or less. Sometimes they are rounds up of what I've been working on, sometimes they're more of a tutorial type focus. By all means pop through the previous videos and see what they're all about. I will have just put up my information for where you can find me all over the interweb, so my Instagram, my Ravelry and so on. Pop on over to view the Instagram, the blog and all those bits and pieces, and join the Ravelry group. Very important news about the Ravelry group coming up. Okay, so what am I wearing? I am so excited about this particular bit of handcrafted wear that I have on. It's not the cardigan. That is shop bought from some random shop somewhere in Hackney many years ago. I am wearing the Mother's Love cowl. Now, why am I so excited about this cowl? I'll tell you. It's because I designed it myself. It is going to be my first pattern release going on Ravelry. In fact, it should be live and active for you to purchase right now. The reason I'm saying that is because I am filming this on Saturday the 30th of March, and this cowl was designed as a Mother's Day present for my mum, and in the UK Mother's Day falls this year on the 31st of March, which is Mothering Sunday. That's traditionally when servants would be allowed home to visit their mother church, and they would often take presents home from the big house to their families. It has since become more of a celebration about mothers than a trip home, which is often the only trip home that servants got. But it's taken on more of a sort of American feel, with cards and gifts being given. Churches still have a special service. Quite often daffodils will be given out to mothers in the service by the children. They're really quite cute services. But if you're not religious, you won't have experienced that. Many people who aren't religious join in with Mother's Day, much as the Americans do later in the year, making a special fuss of their mothers, making them breakfast in bed, taking them out for dinners, that kind of thing. So this was my mum's Mother's Day present. Well, not this one in particular, the one that's in the pattern photos. I'll put a picture up here or here, wherever there's space when I do my editing. My mum's one, the blue one, was knit in Dina's Home of Crafts DK. It's a merino nylon blend and it's in the colourway Waves. This one is also knit in Dina's Home of Crafts DK weight, so merino nylon blend, but this is in the Berry Crush colourway. Now it's a bandana style cowl, so it's going to sit down the front, which for my mother is very useful. She does lots of walking. And her coats tend to be quite open at the front. She also goes to watch the football with her partner quite a lot, and actually she did say that the blue one would be very useful for football. Her partner supports Peterborough, so it's Peterborough games that my mother goes to visit. Those of you who aren't in the UK will not know the colours of Peterborough, I would have thought, because it's not like it's Manchester United, let's face it. Peterborough play in blue, so the blue one is quite fitting. The pattern itself is in 3 parts, because I am one of 3 siblings, as is my mother. Excuse me. So I am the child of the middle of 3. Hello, Liam. My father and my mother are both middle of 3. I don't know why I'm calling them father and mother, I'm really not that posh. So there are 3 parts to this shawl, and the 3 parts are made up of different Shetland lace patterns. so traditional Shetland lace motifs. You start on this edge here, which is a traditional border from a Shetland hap shawl. And in fact, this section is shaped in the same way as a hap would be. Haps are large, square shawls, blanket, garment things. The word itself actually means, I discovered whilst I was designing this, the word itself actually means to wrap oneself up warmly. So this is like a mini half hat because it's triangular. So you start on this border, you knit up the lace border pattern, then you go into another pattern. I'll give you some close-ups later and insert them just after I finish talking about it. But then there's another lace pattern here. This is called the cat's paw pattern. The border is old shale. There's a spine up the middle. In the Shetland resources that I was using when I was designing this, these central spines are referred to as steeks. That does not mean I'm expecting you to cut your cowl. Please don't cut it. So far we're working flat, and then we join in the round for this deep neckband, which is using diamond lattice and rose clusters lace. I've used a cable cast on at the bottom because it gave a cleaner edge than the lace cast on, and I've used a Russian cast off at the top. This is also sometimes called a lace cast off or a pearl two together. It's a little misleading, I think, to call it a pearl two together because you don't have to pearl. One option for it is to pearl. I've knitted two together through the back loop for the Russian cast off. That's basically all it is. Knit together, knit two together through the back loop. Put the stitch back on the left needle. Knit two together through the back loop. Put the knit stitch back on the left needle, all the way around. That's all it is. But any other stretchy cast off would work equally as well. I just chose to use the Russian one. So that's my cowl, and it is available right now in the You Sew You Ravelry store. So I'll put a link to that in the box down below. It's already had a really good response on Instagram, and when I put the information up ready on Ravelry, because I knew it might take me a little bit of time to set my store up, so the pattern page has been there since Friday. It's already had a really good response. I've had people favouriting it before the pattern's even available. Obviously I was very clear on the pattern page to state that it wasn't going to be available until the 31st of March, just so that people aren't disappointed. But I'm really pleased with the way it's been received so far. If you're not currently looking to knit a cowl, but you do like the pattern, by all means go and favourite it so that you know where to find it next time you're looking for a cowl to knit, and that will also mean that more people in Ravelry get to see it. So that's my pattern release, that's what I'm wearing. I am so excited and quite a bit nervous too. As I say, this is the first time I've designed a pattern. It has been test knit, my test knitters have been wonderful, so there shouldn't be any bugs and bits and pieces in it, but by all means let me know if you find any and I can get that fixed. I'm going to be setting up a thread in the Ravelry group, so search for You Sew You under the groups tab on Ravelry, specifically for pattern support for this pattern. I'm planning to use Ravelry mostly for pattern support. The reason for that is that at some points in time I'm going to be busy or I'm going to be away, and I don't want you to have to wait for support on a pattern. So by doing it through the Ravelry group, if I'm not able to respond, other people who've knit the pattern will be able to. So it becomes more of a community effort. That doesn't mean to say that I'm not going to respond or read what you've got to say. If you have a problem with the pattern, by all means let me know. If you are struggling to understand any of the instructions, by all means let me know, and I will do my best to help you out. It's just so that if there's a situation where I can't get to you quickly, if you're in a different time zone, or I'm on holiday, that kind of thing, I am a one-woman show and I don't want you to miss out on that support. So go over and join the Ravelry group on You Sew You to get pattern support on this, and to have any discussions around any of my episodes and videos that you would like. Each video gets its own thread on Ravelry. So moving on to finished objects. This month has been a month mostly of socks. Socks and spinning, in fact. I've knit this twice this month, so that does count as a finished object. But I have also been working on socks and I've been working on some spinning. So let's start with the socks. First of all, as you know, I am taking part in the Knitting Expats Seasons Sock Club. So I've now done the candy cane socks, which came free with that club when I signed up. I've done the winter Gancy socks, which were the January socks. I've done the spring showers socks, which were the February socks. And now we get to the March socks. And we have the Summer Breeze socks. So these are knitted in buttoned up and pinned down in the Not Enough Candy colourway. I'm just looking over to my laptop where I've got my camera mirrored so that I can see what's going on. So if I'm looking away from the lens, that's why. So with this came out as a sock set. So this is the Not Enough Candy colourway here, and it came with this green mini. It's a wedge toe, which is quite often the case in Mina's patterns, which is fine. It fits nicely and it's quite simple to knit. So I can almost do this without looking at the pattern. I do quite often check the pattern just to make sure I've not misremembered it. But I probably, if I tried, could do it without looking. So we've got a garter German short row heel with Mina's mini heel flap adjustment, which is the best fit I have found so far for heels and socks. I am auditioning lots of other heels, but this is the best ones that I've come across so far, and I do like the garter effect. The cuff, which is also in the contrast mini, is this lace ribbing, which is rather cute. It's not as long as the pattern calls for. I did 3.5 repeats instead of the 5 that Mina calls for, because I prefer to have a shorter cuff. The main body of the sock, you can see how the colourway knits up in stocking stitch on the sole. The main body of the sock is this garter ridge and slip stitch pattern. It is currently slightly on the snug side getting it on my foot, but I think that's because it's not been blocked yet, and it will be because of the slip stitches. So once it blocks out, I'm sure that'll loosen up. If it doesn't, I'm going to have to either change the needle size when I knit socks or change the number of stitches I cast on. I generally cast on 68 stitches on a 2.5mm needle. I believe that's a US 1.5. And I'm getting 9 stitches to the inch on that because my gauge has tightened up slightly since I started knitting socks. It used to be 8 stitches to the inch. So I'm going to see what the socks I'm doing at the moment block out like. And if they're still a little bit snug, I might move up to a 72 stitch sock. Sorry, I'm keep tripping over my words this morning. Maybe I've not had enough coffee yet. So that's the Summer Breeze socks. They were an enjoyable knit. They did take me most of the month to do, not because the pattern is complicated or anything, but because, as I told you a couple of months ago, a few videos ago, I am participating in Sock Madness this year. Sock Madness kicks off in March. So those of you that aren't aware, Sock Madness is a sock knitting competition. It happens from March till around about June time. It was founded by an American lady whose husband is heavily into the baseball March Madness thing that happens. I don't know anything about baseball really, other than the basic core mechanics of how it works. I don't know about the seasons and the teams and who's good and any of that sort of stuff, or indeed really what March Madness is all about, other than it being a baseball competition, I believe, is a knockout. So Sock Madness is basically on the same format. It's a knockout competition. So you sign up in February. You get a warm-up pattern, which I've already shown you. That was the 13 memories this year, as it's the 13th Sock Madness. And then in March, there's a qualifying round, followed by 7 other rounds. So from the qualifying round, you're put into teams of a similar speed to yourself. In each of the other rounds, the number of people who proceed from your team to the next round reduces, until round 7 has one person from each of the 26 teams competing in sock knitting. So the idea is that you are fast and accurate. Once you've knitted your socks, you need to email them to the knit moderators, and they check that you follow the pattern correctly and that kind of thing. It does mean that you have to knit your socks to particular sizes, and that some of the heels and toes may not fit you as well. But once your socks have been approved, you can always rip back and re-knit them. So far it's been a lot of fun. We are through the first round, so we've done the qualifying round and the first round, so I'm going to show you those socks. I'm in a middle range team, sort of halfway through the alphabet, so middle speed, which does not surprise me massively. So first up is the qualifying socks. So these are Smock Madness, and these were knitted in Yarn Lab. I forget the name of the colourway, I will put that on the screen or in the notes. It does have a bit of Sparkle Stellina in it, and it's a very gentle sort of pinky blue pastel-y colour. The Stellina's not really showing up on the camera, but it is also fairly subtle in the sock itself, so that's not a surprise that it's not showing up on screen. So that was the qualifying round, which got me into my team. They were quite pleasant knit to do, they fit quite well. I like the heel flap and gusset style of heel on me. It's not a bad fit, I just prefer the speed of the short row heel that Mina does. And it's a slightly better fit with the mini gusset rather than the full gusset. I haven't worn those ones in shoes yet to see how the smocking on the heel works once you've got a shoe on. The round 1 socks, which I managed to get through on, I was about the 9th or 10th person I think through on my team. My team is now full, and we've still got a few days before the round ends. These are a fraternal pair of socks. For those of you that aren't sock knitters, that means that they are similar but not identical, and purposefully similar but not identical. I don't generally worry too much about matching up stripy socks and that stuff, because life's too short. They're socks at the end of the day. But these ones, the actual pattern is different, and a lot of people have knitted each sock in different colours so that they can then knit a second sock of each pattern to have a matching pair rather than a fraternal pair. I'm not bothered about my socks not perfectly matching. It's one of the few things my father and I disagree on. Again, father, why have I got so posh today? I don't know. So these are the Demogorgon's Lair. Excuse me. No, why there's a frog in my throat today. So these are Demogorgon's Lair, inspired by Stranger Things. I must confess, I've not actually watched Stranger Things. I've seen like the first episode or two, and then I, for some reason, didn't carry on. It's not that I wasn't enjoying it, so I really ought to get on and watch Stranger Things. But apparently Demogorgon is a thing in Stranger Things. So we have a lace pattern all the way up the sock. So on this one, it's a single row of violet weaving its way up the sock, whereas on this one, it's a double one. It's a circular toe, and I do apologise if you can hear my cat in the background. He's trying to wake my partner up. So it's a circular toe and a circular afterthought heel. It's the first time I've done afterthought heels, and I have to say, not overly keen. The actual process of putting them in was fine, but this particular heel doesn't fit my foot. Well, I mean, I can get it on, but it's a struggle to get it over my heel. Again, they've not been blocked yet because I wanted to show them to you guys, so I'm hoping that that's going to ease up a little bit once I block them, but there's no gusset on these socks, and I think I needed a little bit of a gusset. There was an option to do a larger heel by knitting over 60% of the stitches rather than 50. I've done the regular. So I mean, I could, in theory, rip back, but that would mean ripping back all the way down to here so that I can pick up more of the stitches. Not overly keen on that idea. Or cutting. Again, not overly keen on that idea. I could rip it out, do a different afterthought heel, but we'll see once it's blocked. I mean, they're not so snug as I can't wear them. Yeah, I can get them on. They're not uncomfortable once they're on, but there are better fitting heels for me. So again, this is Dina's Home of Crafts yarn. I want to say it's called Sunny Riverside. Again, I will double check the colourway and put that on the screen for you. So that's basically all my knitting, 2 cowls and 3 pairs of socks. Because I have been absorbed by spinning. Now, spinning is something that I have had a love for since I was a little girl. I have been fascinated by spinning wheels. whenever we've gone to an event at a National Trust home or a castle and they've had spinning, I've spent ages just standing there watching the magic that is spinning on a spinning wheel. I, however, have a tiny house. It's what we call a 2 up, 2 down. That means there's 2 rooms downstairs, 2 rooms upstairs. So it's a 1-bedroom house. It's basically like a 1-bedroom flat, a London 1-bedroom flat, so a small flat that's been folded in half and had steps put in. It's not big, so I don't have the space or the funding at the moment for a spinning wheel, much as I would love something like the Ashford Traveller, which I will put here, or here, again, wherever there's space. The reason I'm drawn to the Ashford Traveller is, number 1, it's compact. It doesn't take up masses of space. Number 2, it has the option for a dual drive, which means it has a wider range of ratios. I don't know what sort of yarn I'm going to gravitate towards once I start spinning on a wheel. So I feel like having a wider range of ratios is a good thing because it gives me more choices. And the other reason that I am drawn to the Ashford Traveller is it's pretty. But that's going to be a long time coming because I just can't afford a wheel at the moment. You're looking at anywhere between sort of £350 to £600 for a spinning wheel. I mean, I'd only ever buy the one, and I would use it, but at the moment I cannot justify that expense. So I spin my yarn on drop spindles. I have 4 drop spindles. I have a large bottom whirl, quite heavy drop spindle that I don't use very often. It doesn't have a hook to attach the yarn through as you're spinning it. It doesn't have a groove to stop the hitch slipping off, and it's just too heavy. Sometimes I use it for plying, but I don't really use it very much for spinning. It's one of these ones I bought off the internet. I didn't really know what I was doing. I thought, oh, that looks nice, I'll try that one. I'm glad I tried it. I'm not going to use it again. At least not very much anyway. Then I have 2 top whirl spindles of slightly different weights, and I have a little tiny hand carved lace weight bottom whirl spindle that I haven't used very much. I have used a little bit this month and I'll show you what I produced on it, but that was actually the first spindle that I ever bought. I went to a fair at an animal shelter years ago. I was doing a play, so I was paid to be there, and they had lots of craft stalls and things there because the fair was aimed at role players, so LARPers and reenactors. So there's lots of historical crafts and things there. I bought my heddle, my weaving tablets there. I bought my lucette there, which you might better know as a knitting fork. And I bought this little tiny spindle. With spindle came some black Welsh top. It was combed top, I believe. And that was my first attempt at spinning, and it really wasn't a good combination for a beginner. The spindle was too light. The fibre was too raw. I mean, it wasn't like in the grease or anything, but it wasn't as smooth an experience as it could have been. So I really struggled to spin that. I didn't get very far at all on my little tiny spindle. I've since spun that top on a heavier spindle and had a much better result. I mean, it's not high quality knitting yarn. It is this. So it's fairly chunky. I have plied it with some bamboo weaving thread. Now I did actually spin this up quite a long time ago, but I've only this month plied it and finished it, so soaked it and hung it to dry. I quite like the look of it with the bamboo. It has got some very thin bits where some of it was spun on the lighter spindle. It is quite chunky, but that is my first bit of spindle spinning ever, and it was a pain in the bum. Absolute beast to spin, but I think is largely because I'm a baby spinner. I don't have the experience to work with this particular type of fibre on the particular spindle that I had. So that's that one. The next skein that I have to show you, again I spun it up a couple of years ago probably. This one came from a Gillian Gladrags kit. It came with a spindle. It is a banana, silk and something else blend. The details are on my Ravelry page. I have all my hand spun in my stash, so you're welcome to go and look those up. The name of the colourway from Gillian Gladrags is a silkworm kissed my banana. There we go, a silkworm kissed my banana. Hello Lou, you come to join us again. Again, I have plied this more recently, so I've plied it this month with some bamboo thread, mainly because it was already quite chunky and thick and thin, so I didn't want to add too much more bulk to it, which is the same reason I used the thread to ply the Welsh top. So that is a silkworm kissed my banana, and again it's quite thick and thin, it's quite chunky. So these ones are probably going to end up in weaving projects. I can't see me knitting with them. I mean, I could, they are knittable, but I think they will look really effective in a weaving project. Hopefully there'll be more on the weaving next month. It's not gone well, but I'm not going to dwell on that today. The third skein that I have to show you, I bought myself some Heidi Feathers bamboo merino blend starter kit. So there were 8 different bits of fibre. I mean, they were carded blends. They weren't quite roving, they were more sort of top come battish. And it came with a spindle. I am really pleased with the consistency of this particular spin, given that it's my third skein ever. It's still a little bit thick and thin. It does stripe a bit, so I have actually used this as my first experience of chain plying. So that was quite fun. I spun it all up. I set all the fibres out in order and spun a bit from each fibre so that it's a repeating stripe rather than spinning up each colour blend separately, as they were only quite small and I wanted something usable. Whether this ends up being knitted up or woven with, I've yet to decide. I actually also need to work out my yardages. I do have a niddy noddy, even though my other half refuses to call it that. It's a great name for a gadget. So yeah, again, it might be knitted, it might be woven, I've yet to decide. It is quite a round yarn, it's relatively consistent in size, it could potentially make quite a good cowl if there's enough yardage of it, or a headband or something. I don't know if there's going to be enough for a hat, but yeah, it could potentially be knitted or crocheted with. Then I decided I was going to try some Rolags. So I ordered some Rolags from Rose something. I'll put the name of the maker on screen for you. I ordered 2 different colours of Rolags. One I believe was called Ruby and the other one was called Lemon and Lime. So this is the Ruby. Again, this has been chain plied, and again it's a little bit thick and thin, but it's relatively consistent. And this is the Lemon and Lime. Again, chain plied, a little bit thick and thin, but relatively consistent. There were 5 Rolags in each, so this is about 50 grams for each one, and wouldn't that just make a great Christmas project? So this is probably going to get knitted or crocheted up into something stripy and Christmassy. So that's going to sit in stash for a little while whilst I work that out, but yeah, really pleased with that. Again, the blends are on Ravelry. This one, I think it just said mixed fibres, so I'm not totally sure what's in this one. This one's got some silk in it, some merino in it, that kind of thing. And some, I want to say Firestar, which is like a polyester nylon-y type thing that gives a bit of sparkle. I then ordered a load of fibre. If you follow my Instagram, you will have seen the pictures of the fibre that I ordered from Freya Jones, which is my local spinning and weaving store, which is over in Stoke Mandeville, which is, if I had a car, it wouldn't take me long to get to. On a bike, it would take me forever, and it's a massive hill to come home on, so I haven't actually been there in person yet. But I got my loom from her, my inkle loom from her, I got my bamboo for weaving from her, and I've ordered a load of fibre from her as well, and my niddy noddy and that sort of stuff. She's an Ashford retailer. And yeah, she's really helpful. She puts little handwritten notes in with the orders and everything, so that's really quite cute. But in with my order I'm not sponsored by her, by the way. I just think it's great that I've got a spinning and weaving shop in my local area. But she sent me a little, it was about 5 to 6 grams sample of some Ashford Merino top. I think it might be Merino Silk blend. And I spun it up on my little spindle, my first spindle that I ever bought. And I've actually managed to achieve lace weight. So this is the Ashford Damson colourway. So it's this sort of bluey purple. I mean, it reads more blue than purple, but there are flashes of purple in there. And I am so thrilled with this, you will not believe. I've used, I believe I did an Andean ply on this one. What did I chain ply it? It's very round, I might have chain plied it. To check my Ravelry page to see which ply I've done on that. But I'm so thrilled with that. Again, I've not checked the yardage, but it won't be very much of it. So if anybody has any ideas of what I can do with 6 grams of lace weight, let me know in the comments down below, or in the Ravelry group, because I don't know. I mean, I could use it as a trim on another lace project, but I really want something that's going to showcase the blurple. But that is I'm really impressed with that. That's all the finished objects that I've got, but I do have a work in progress to show you, and it's a spinning whip. I ordered some more Rolags from a different maker. I ordered some Rolags from Clara Rose Crafts. There's the little label that came on the box. I got 2 of them, so there's 50 grams in each box, and they look like that. So these are the ones that I haven't spun up yet, so there's 6 in each. There might have been 6 of each of the colourway for the other ones actually, but it was 50 grams anyway. This is the St Patrick's Day colourway. So there's some merino in there, there's sari silk in there. And I've already spun up 1 box, and I've been plying on the fly with this one just to try that out, so I'm still learning. This is my 32 gram spindle. I've actually written on the top of my spindles the weight of them, or on the bottom mills, because mine are all wooden. If I was getting any Spin City ones, that wouldn't work, because she does gorgeous resin spindles, or if it'd been painted or anything like that. But these ones are plain wood, so I've just written in pencil what the weight is. And this is how it's spun up. So it is a little bit thick and thin, but again, that's because I'm new to spinning, so that is fine. I'm okay with it being thick and thin. At this point in time, it is chain plied, because when you ply on the fly, you are chain plying. And that is what 50 grams of Rolags looks like spun up. I have got enough space in there, I believe, to get most, if not all, of the rest of the Rolags on. So I'll be able to should be able to get that into 1 skein. And the benefit of ply on the fly is that once you've finished spinning, you've actually finished the skein. You just need to wind it off and soak it. You don't have to then ply it later. The downside is that with chain plying, your thick and thin sections are going to stay thick and thin, whereas if I was going to do a more traditional 2-ply with like an Andean plying bracelet or something like that, the thicks and the thins should be evened out a little bit. But yeah, I'm liking this. There's a little bit of sparkle in there from the sari silk. Hopefully that's coming, and it's probably not coming up on the camera, sparkle often doesn't. But there we go. So that is all I've got to show you this week. Socks and spinning, basically. It's been a month of a theme. I shall hopefully be back with you in the next week or 2. Sock Madness next round doesn't start straight away, but I don't know if I'll have time to do the bonus pattern in between times, because I really ought to knit on something other than socks. I will have the final pair of socks from the Season Sock Club to show you. I do need to do some more weaving. I'm having to change my frame loom project a bit because it just wasn't working with the yarn that I chose. Basically for the loom that I'm using, I should have used a chunkier weight yarn for the effect I'm trying to achieve. So I'm going to work with what's on the loom already. I'm going to change it a bit, and then I'm going to rewarp it with something else to try the different weaving patterns and make the coastery type things that I was showing you before. But that's okay, we learn from these things. This is my other co-host, Kiki's coming to say hello. And there'll be more spinning. I've got a lace project that I've cast on that I really ought to knit more on for the Project Bags Lace Along. I also have a project in mind for her fan club knit along, but I need to get more yarn for that, so we'll see if I get that done or not. I've got a couple of designs that I want to work up, some of which will be using yarn from Stash, and obviously I've got my one pattern that's now available to buy as well, so I've got a lot going on. Best place to keep up to date with me between videos is Instagram. I am on there pretty much every day, and yeah, hop along to Ravelry, join the group. I'm Zosie Mosey on Instagram, I'm Zosie M on Ravelry, and I do have the You So You group. There's the You So You Ravelry store, and there is a You So You blog. I haven't written anything new on there for a little while, but keep your eyes open because I do have some things planned to go on there in the next few weeks. So that's what I have for now. And until next time, have a great week, or 2 weeks, or however long it takes me to get back to you, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.